You're again with Volleyball Explained Olympics Special. This is the first day, quarterfinals in the men's tournament. I'm a little bit shaken from what happened today. A lot of interesting matches, really great matches. And today, co-host is Victor Petrov, who is a coach in the Olympic Center for Development of Young Talents in Germany. Regular also guest in previous editions of First Tempo podcast. Thank you, Victor, for being here. And I hope that we're going to have very useful insight into what happened in the quarterfinals.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you again for the invitation. Every time is a really good time with you.
Thank you again. Firstly, let's mention the results because they were really curious and really dramatic. At least two of them are games. Poland is out. One of the biggest favorites in the tournament is out. France, they didn't start the tournament very well, but now they beat Poland 3-2. Amazing match, really dramatic. And France will be in the semifinals. The other surprise is Argentina beating Italy again in a tiebreak. Osmany Juantorena retires from the Italian national team. The other two matches were without any surprises. Brazil beat Japan and Russia beat Canada 3-0. Actually, probably the most interesting things of all of the teams of Pool A are out. All of the teams of Pool B are true. But let's start with Poland, France. Firstly, general impressions from the match.
Well, as you said, it's a big shocker. No one really thought that the world champions are going to be out after the quarterfinals, especially after France lost their first games in the pool stage. It's just France was not the same. Right now you're seeing France as you're used to see them in the European Championship as before when they won it, and just playing exceptional volleyball. On the other side, Poland, they're always going to be strong, and when they were playing some matches in the group stage, you could see some things were not really working out, but they still have a long bench and everything pretty much works out. But the second you start playing a really tough opponent, some things just came out in I don't know, in the tactics of the team and in the mentality, and it just, I don't know. I actually thought that Poland are going to win this, but just France just, they pretty much proved us that once you pretty much say France are out, and that's the wrong team to bet against.
Yeah, I put this title after episode 7, day 7, when they won against Russia. I fear that all we've done is to awaken the sleeping giant. I don't know if I had in my head Earvin Ngapeth, or I had the French team in general, but still what happened today is a real proof that probably I was right in this matter. What is the influence of Antoine Brizard in this team? Because before the tournament, of course, Bentonuti is the main setter, the regular. He started the match today, but then Brizard came in, and actually, I believe he was the most important figure together with Earvin Ngapeth. Still, they played as a team, but anyway, I believe that Brizard is very important for this win.
Of course, Brizard just put some, I don't know, incredible energy of this team. He started to, connect the missing pieces, which Tinuti didn't really find. And Tinuti is an exceptional setter as well. It's just, as we spoke before, I think they got him a bit, figured out, the Polish players. So they pretty much know, what's going to happen. And and that's the strong thing about France here. You have like a setter that it's exactly that good, or I don't know, in some situations even better. And you just put him in, and then he does this incredible work, and this just wins you the game against the world champion. And it's just amazing how he connects with the middles on the shoot. I think this is another thing about France. They are a team that plays a lot the ball type to shoot. And this with Chininieze, with Legoff, they're not the best middles in the world. They're really good. I mean, Chininieze is a really good attacker and everything, but this connection, the symbiosis between Brizard and those middles was really good in this game. And of course, Ngapeth, pretty much finding his vibe, playing on the way he was playing, and Brizard just feeding him balls in the right moments. Not overusing him, but pretty much giving him on the right time those beautiful passes. And let's just not forget about Clevenot. I think it's not just this game. Trevor Clevenot has been exceptional in this tournament, and I think statistically he's one of the top attackers in the tournament. And he's holding the reception. He's just been such a pillar in France. And who would have thought? Nations League, they were playing with Tilly,
They
and I think
started
even
the Olympic Games with Tilly also, but
yeah, exactly. And now, just this big turnaround is just really exceptional. Also, of course, let's just not forget about Patry. He's also performing at a really high level, and I'm just in awe how he handles tough situations, because it's actually this is the face of an opposite. This is exactly what you see in an opposite. You give him pretty much, you feed him all those trash balls that no one can handle, and he just makes something out of it. And that's what he did in this game as well. And in the end, of course, Bouyer finished the match for him, but nonetheless, he performed in a really really high level.
yeah, just to underline two things. Firstly, we have mentioned several times in the different editions of the podcast that Tuniotistiu at the end of the VNL started to be a little bit readable. Probably that's normal, taking into account how much data the other teams have for him. And the other thing is just to support you totally. This change, interchange, substitution in the team, Clevenot playing instead of Tilly was very decisive for France, starting to be much more sharp against Russia and also against Brazil, even if they were defeated in this match, and also today against Poland. But let's talk about Poland. Great match by Leon, great match by Bartosz Kurek, but they just weren't enough. And the second outside hitter problem in this team was very clear today. What do you think has Vital Heynen mistaken, and how could he actually handle this issue in a better way?
Well, it's really hard to say this from that perspective, because he didn't lost the match like 3-0, blown out of the building. It was still a really good game, which there were a lot of good things for Poland as well, as you said, Kurek and Leon. I think the distribution of Jizga was a bit, of course, he overused his guys. They were really effective. They kept performing. I'm not sure how much he played in the middle, because he doesn't really, tend to play in the middle.
I'll check.
Yeah, that would be good. But it's not like he doesn't have good attacking middles, especially if Kochanowski is on the field. And if you run a fast ball with this guy, is really a force to be reckoned with. So at the end, what I saw was that Poland in the tiebreak, they couldn't really side out. And which two guys couldn't side out? The guys that had the most points in the game, and exactly Leon and Kurek. They just couldn't finish. I don't know, 4 or 5 side outs in the last set, and you could just see that if they don't work, Gisga didn't have a plan. If they stopped scoring, Gisga was kind of, like, never mind. I'm just gonna keep giving them the ball until they score. Yeah, but like it's 9-4. It's kind of too late for that. But it was just one of those games for Kurek where you pretty much get a heads or tails. If he performs, he performs. If he doesn't, he just throws a stinker like against Japan, where it's a good thing that the rest of the team can win against Japan, but Kurek couldn't. So he wasn't that consistent in the tournament. But as we both agreed, I think the missing link for this team is the setter, and it's not just our opinion. It's like all of the volleyball world has been criticizing Gisga, and I'm not even sure if Lomach is just going to do a better job, but they could have tried. I don't know what exactly, what is happening behind the scenes with Vital Heynen. It could be a lot of pressure from the federation. It could be media pressure for letting Kubiak play or not, changing a lot of those things, because it was just some decisions where you think, what the hell happened there? It was in the fourth set, it was 3-2 for Poland or for France. Doesn't even matter. And he just, substituted Kubiak. And I was like, it's the fifth point of the game, of the set.
Yeah.
How wrong could he have done? How much shit could he have, possibly issued during this game? And he did. Then, as you said, he just kept rotating Slivka, then Semenyuk, and at this point, no one can get in the game. You just get in, and you don't know if you just, I don't know, you hit the ball and out, and you're probably gonna get out. So you don't have this confidence as a player to know that you're gonna stay. So he just kept rotating these three guys, and it didn't seem to work out in the end.
Yeah, two things from me. Firstly, I checked the statistics of the middle blockers. The middle blockers have received during the match 22 balls. They converted 9 with 5 points being blocked or mistaken. They made a direct error. That means that they have only 18% effective efficiency in attack, which is pretty much awful for a middle
really
blocker.
Low. That's really low.
Yeah.
And from those blockers, they don't have. That's a typical statistic for a Japanese middle blocker offense. This is not the typical thing for a Polish middle blocker. Especially Kochanowski. That's just underlines more the decisions of Gisga in this game.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, just before I forget, this is another thing. I also checked the blocks. 6 against 17 for France, and these are just the tough blocks. These are just the balls that went on the floor.
Yeah,
I think France did their homework really well against this team, because they knew pretty much who is starting. Because you can't just go wrong that Kurek is gonna start and Leon is gonna start, and probably like any two of the middles. And I think they scouted them really, really well, because there were a lot of soft blocks from France, and they could just convert those blocks, those points in transition points for them. So that you could just see about those statistics just tell you that they knew where to go in every set of Gisga, and the middles were just really, really quick to be oriented in the position where the ball is gonna go. So that's another thing. Maybe that's a big applause to the players and the staff of France, that they can just do this thing really well.
And this is the other side of good blocking, not only being cube blocked, but it's maybe even harder to block in a way in order for the ball to be touched and just defend it in a very easy way. Let's mention here, and probably the last thing about this match, because there are also other 3 matches to be analyzed. But what showed me this despair, this desperation in the head coach Vital Heynen is that before the tournament, we all know that he's taking it into the team two receiving outside hitters and two attacking outside hitters. The receiving outside hitters were Kubiak and Slivka, and the attacking outside hitters, of course, Leon and Kamil Semenyuk. And when things didn't start well with Kubiak, they were not good enough with Slivka either, and he was even forced to play with Leon and Semenyuk at the same time, and of course this didn't work out either. So really good problem, and I believe this is a tactical problem. I believe this is a problem which is connected not that much to the quality of the players in general, but more of choosing who is in the which players are going to form the best team in this period, and taking into account the fact that Bartosz Bednosh is, for example, outside of the roster for the Olympics. There will be a lot of questions in the Polish media, very volleyball oriented media, of course.
Yes.
So this is something that will be very interesting, how these things are going to develop in Poland, because we all know that the Polish setters are not the best setters in the world, but still with those setters, of course, in 2014, Zagumny played together with Gizga, but still they won, and without Leon, by the way. This is a very interesting topic also.
Two times
but without Leon.
Exactly. And then you get them, and you can't win it anymore.
And this is one thing that should be analyzed very deeply also. Is it possible that Leon is more hurting the performance of Poland than he's giving? This is almost a theoretic comment to be made, but still, I would say that if Brizard is playing very quick at the ends of the net, and not only in the ends of the net, the presence of Leon sometimes made Poland very slow team in attack. Also, Kurek is not the quickest attacker, especially in first line. So these are questions and matters that shall be analyzed very deeply. And also, I'm sure that all the media, especially in Poland, are going to do this, and I'm very interested in how things will develop from now on, and also if Vital Heynen is going to keep his place as a head coach of Poland.
That's a big question.
Yeah, a very big question. I really believe that this team could have done better in Tokyo.
Of course.
Okay, let's go to the other drama thriller. I don't know how to call it, because Italy is also out. The favorite in the match against Argentina, even though I believe that this match was more even than the other one. Of course, I have not underrated France, but still we know that what Poland has done before. Still, Italy against Argentina, amazing. Again, Luciano de Cecco, an amazing Bruno Lima also. But what is happening with Italy? What is happening with Ivan Zaytsev?
Well, long story short, age is probably happening. And I think the biggest point I have here on my list is, in my opinion, Blengini just, made a big mistake. That he didn't sign the team to play Nations League. Well, not the whole team, but they pretty much went there with the high school guys, and the other guys just stayed in Italy and only practiced for a lot of time, like a long time.
Micheletto and Galassi were in the VNL, I believe, and I'm not sure
Galassi was.
Yeah, Galassi was there for sure. Micheletto wasn't.
Micheletto was like playing every game. That's he has to. Like, he's 19. But the other guys haven't played an official game since last season. Pretty much the season stopped and they just went into practicing. I don't know if this is the perfect way to go into the Olympics without any, official game before that.
Yeah.
They could have, I don't know, like just registered him for a couple of games, or just I think that could have been pulled out with the rules of COVID. They could have gone a bit later or something, but that's the decision they made. We saw that they were a bit rusty. They pretty much won the games that they had to win. In games that they really like, against the big teams, it wasn't to see. Well, of course, the other guy, Juantorena, that's a legend. He just keeps playing, and he keeps, finding those spots. He played really good, but Zaytsev wasn't just not on that level. I I think that Gianelli played fairly well. He found a lot of, like, he used his middles in a really really good way. But they just can't hold on forever. Anzani and Galassi are just not the biggest middles, the fastest middles in the world, and I think they had mostly the problems in block against, as you said, like Argentina, like they couldn't hold Bruno Lima. Conte just, I don't know. This is one of my favorite players to watch. He just kept receiving every crunch time ball from the Cecco, and he just made something out of it. And they just couldn't seem to find an answer against Conte. And this is a thing. I know as a fan that pretty much every ball in the end of the set is going to Conte, pretty much. And they couldn't figure it out. At one point, they even started playing to him when he was in five. I think one ball they said to him like a fast, quick pipe kind of attack, but he was in position 5. So that has to tell you, everywhere Conte is on the field, you need to really put a double block against this guy, because he was really hot. He was really, on fire, making gold from everything he touches. So that was for me the Cecco just, showing off not just his ability to make a really good decision, but finding his go-to guy and just keeps feeding him balls until he makes a mistake and even further on.
Okay, let's talk about Argentina, because what Argentina did was a real masterclass. Firstly, I would say that Italy was not serving well, and the Argentinian reception most of the time was east in what they should do. And after that, with a good or perfect reception, the Czech was almost perfect. No errors of him. Of course, he is absolutely great, especially in that position. But let's talk about the other situation. When the ball was not perfect, when the ball was on the 4th, 5th meter, and this happens, of course, for in a match that was almost 3 hours long. This is pretty normal. We were together in 2019 in Ostrava. And Javier Weber, the former Argentinian national coach, told us, explained us about this second ball, the second attack. By the way, there is a video in the channel about the art of the second attack, and I'm going to put it in the description. Very interesting one. Just push a little bit the ball, touch to the block again, and play again, attack again, cover,
attack
play
again.
if needed, second, third ball. And if you are ready to attack sharp and strong, you can do it. Of course, it's not able to happen each time, but it was a real masterclass in Argentina playing in this way. What do you think? And by the way, they will play against France again in the semifinal, and this is going to be the most technical semifinal probably in the history of Olympic Games.
The history of Olympics, yeah, probably. Well, when we were exchanging messages today, you just wrote to me something about Javier Weber. I just started laughing because I was just writing it on my sheet, Javier Weber, side out, and I was like, this is exactly
Mr. Obvious.
Mr. Obvious. And it's just it's so fantastic. It's so incredible that this he just left a mark in this team. And this team has this and keeps using it as their strength, because most of the players there, used to be coached by Weber. And by the way, I'm also seeing this happening in other teams. This tendency, for example, Japan are using it really well as well.
But they're
And
coached by Blen. So in
yeah,
practice, Philippe Blen is the head coach of even though it is not on
yes, of
paper like
course.
this, but yeah,
But you can see it in the timeouts,
yeah,
of course. Yeah, he's pretty
yeah,
much, when it's crunch time, he's explaining things like the same way where we were 2012 with Naiden Naidenov and Camilo
yeah.
Placci was the same thing. But yeah, like that's pretty much when the reception is not perfect and they're playing on a high ball situation, they just tool the block in a semi-hard drive shot. Everybody, that's the thing, that everybody in the team, is exactly in the right spot and they know exactly what's gonna come. So they tool the block. They're trying to get to hit the hands and not go down, because the ball is just gonna go really sharp below the net. So they use the hands, as you said. They I think the correct term in English is recycle the ball. Pretty much they use it again. They defend it, and they just have a really good situation where they can also run the middle, or they can just play a bit faster, run pipe, whatever. And as you said, they just showed everybody how that's done. If the first ball is not that good, recycle,
Just
do it
recycle it.
again. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's very
every
interesting because it should be with the exact speed. If it's too quick, it's going to be very very fast down at the floor. If it's
yeah,
too slow,
slow.
just the blockers are going
Exactly.
to put it into the floor. So it should be with a
Exactly.
very very exact, very precise speed in order just to be
Very
to be to be
controlled, yeah.
back controlled here.
Yeah. And if if a rally, if a duration of a rally in Brazil or in Poland is like 8 seconds, their side out is 8 seconds. With Argentina is like 20 or 25, because they need to recycle and then play defense. And the worth in every point with this team is just incredible. They just keep fighting for 1 point a lot more than your average semifinalist, because they need to recycle a lot more, because they don't have those high ball hitters like Leon does. If Leon is not going to recycle, Leon just going to go on top of the fingers or over the block or whatever. Leon's going to go for the point. And those guys just don't go for the point every time, and they just are very patient, and they organize the attack again. And this is exactly what we saw there, which pretty much shows us that they're playing really as a team. Everybody is tuned in. Everybody has a job. Everybody knows that, okay, this is going to happen. And if the ball goes, in the block and we're trying to cover it, it's not going to happen. The ball sometimes go on the floor and two players look at each other. Was that yours or was that mine? No, that's just never going to be the case in
No.
Argentina. Exactly. That's never
Yeah.
going to be the case.
Yeah, probably is very interesting to have statistics, something like rallies, not rallies, but attacks per reception rally. That I mean
Yeah.
how many attacks do you have per rally when you're receiving? Because I'm sure that
Yeah.
the numbers of Argentina is going to be significantly bigger than compared to teams like Poland, like Italy.
Yeah.
Probably Brazil is going
Brazil.
to have a slightly closer to Argentina, but I believe that Argentina and then France are going to top this because France
I
is
believe Japan is going to be also
Japan also,
pretty high.
yeah, Japan, Argentina,
Yeah.
but these are, if we have this common denominator, these are going to be teams which are not that tall, with not that tall players,
Exactly.
but very very technical, and they should rely on more on quick balls and on a perfect organization, because they can't play that good on a high ball. Okay,
Precisely.
I believe that's pretty much enough. Very deep analysis of Argentina. Also in Italy, I believe that Italy is going to have significant problems after the retirement of Juantorena. They are
Just to
struggling.
put one thing,
Yeah,
exactly about Argentina, what I also saw is like this passionate and emotional team in the end of the game, and not during as well. Those emotional leaders were Facundo Conte and De Cecco, which was a joy to watch. This team was, you could see how much they invested to get there, which was really a happy sight for me. And as you said, Italy, they will struggle a lot to find a replacement for, I guess, for Zaytsev and for Juantorena. Oreste Cavuto, Pinali, those guys are not really on that level as they should be to play Olympics. But I think they're looking at the next Olympic cycle already, and or even the one after that.
Yeah, the one after that. They have, for
Probably the
example,
one after that.
Tommaso Rinaldi from Modena, who is a
Yeah.
very good youngster. They have Paulo Porro, also the
Yeah.
setter.
Well, I think in the setting
Wuka,
position,
I believe
they're kind of
his
set.
brother Wuka Porro. I'm not 100% sure if it's his brother. He's even younger than Paulo Porro. So and of course Micheletto, who is very young himself. But still, these guys are going to need time. It is not absolutely sure that they are going to be that top level, because Juantorena is just another level. It's outside of this world, and he proved it for more than 10 years and even more. Take into account the fact that he didn't play a lot in several years on national level.
I think I should apologize of talking not too much about Micheletto, because this boy needs to be talked about. He's amazing. But I think we'll have enough time in the next 10, 15 years to talk about him, because he's just not going to go away. This is something really, really interesting.
Yeah. And he's a very complex player as well. I mean, a player as well. He's serving, he's receiving, he's attacking, he's blocking, but yeah,
he's 19.
He's 19 also. That's pretty much the most impressive part of all. Okay, let's go to the other two matches, which were not that impressive, not that curious, not that competitive, but still. Japan lost to Brazil. The hosts are out. This is not of a surprise. Of course, I like to say that it's strength against flexibility in this match, and strength won. Of course, it's also about quality of players.
Yes. If you just look at the benches, Japan pretty much, they just, after the seventh player, it's pretty much dead end. I still want to congratulate Japan on this run. They won their really important match against Iran. They qualified for the quarterfinals, which I think it hasn't happened in quite a long time. But the fairy tale run, has to end at some point. Maybe if they had a little luck playing Italy or something, maybe they could have, I don't know, made it interesting. But you just get Brazil, and Brazil are just so dominant right now in men's volleyball. You cannot really, hope to get something relying only on Nishida and Ishikawa. Ishikawa played his heart out. He was really good. He kept really pushing until the very end from the service line, from attack. It was just a really big presence from him. I found Nishida also not bad. Like he played okay. It was not like a game with 20% efficiency or something. Yeah. He delivered, but the fact that you just have those middles in the face of Onodera and Yamauchi. I mean, on top of they're not being that tall. They were really slow in this game. They were not like their decisions were questionable. Like Sekira gives them a ball, and you just attack in direction 6, not even that high enough. Lucas is there. Just most of the time, they just left them without block, and maybe then they were scoring. My biggest question is why are not they running like the 7, something with the middle that is just gonna make their chances a bit higher of getting a point. No, they're just playing this normal ball in the middle, this quick ball in the middle, which they're just never gonna win against Lucas, against Mauricio. They're never gonna win against a blocker that's always taller than them, and they're not that physical. That's also on top. Nishida, can jump 1 meter, and those guys can't. So I think this is the thing about the setup. He just needs to extend the game in some sorts. He runs a good tempo, but you can't win it without middles. You just can't win it without middles.
It's strange to talk about the advantages of Brazil because they were everywhere in this match. But where do you find the weaknesses of Brazil? Because of course they lost against Russia. They had very big problems with Argentina, also with France. Where are the problems of Brazil?
I think the problems are they're not the best receiving team in the Olympics, especially with Leal. Thales is a pretty good libero, but topspin reception is pretty much his specialty. But the second you start moving him a bit, like hitting the seam or going a bit left, actually Japan started at one point serving not that bad, and you could see that they have problems in those areas. That's why Mauricio Borges comes in to like strengthen that position a bit. But their side out at one point, just struggles, especially if the ball is a bit off the net and they're in a high ball situation. Leal, of course, he's one of the most physical guys in the sport, but his decisions are sometimes questionable. Sekita got to block him twice. Like,
I saw that the first one at least.
So that's just not normal. If you hit the ball at 370 or whatever, that shouldn't be a issue. You should get some control on that thing and just, I don't know, avoid that block or just go over it. But yeah, I think that would be one of the weaknesses of Brazil for sure. Not their service game. They're really serving really stable. And it's not just aces. They just have really precise serve, and you're just getting a lot of teams out of system. I see that a lot of teams that are playing against Brazil are out of system, and it's really difficult if you have this kind of pressure the whole game.
Yeah, it's very impressive for Sekita's case because he's only 175. And by the way, I'm
even taller.
Yeah, and I'm not going to offend anyone, but even my sister is 175. So by the way, I was very interested to understand that Matias Sanchez, the reserve setter of Argentina, is even
176.
I
thought 176.
I saw 173, but it doesn't matter. It's a very strange to have in taking into account their height. It's very impressive the level of volleyball they can play because it's really impressive that they are able to do very good things on the floor with that height. We know that before 175, 180 was pretty much totally okay, but now it's not, and it's really impressive that they can do that well.
Now even the liberals are bigger.
Yeah. Maybe with the exception of the former Iranian libero who was 168, probably the Zarif, probably the shortest player that time. Okay, let's go to Russia and Canada. Another routine win here for the favorites. One trivia moment in the match is that Canada didn't lead even for a single moment in any of the sets. So Russia was leading from the start to the end. Volkov, who has a great tournament, scored 15 points and 14 points for Maxim Mikhailov, and another win for Russia. and they will play Brazil. The question
Nothing new.
is, yeah, nothing new. The question is that going to be the final before the final, or France or Argentina can hurt them in the? Actually, we saw that France can hurt Brazil or
Russia,
Russia.
yeah,
So yeah, it's going to be another mini tournament in the Pool B.
for sure. France showed pretty much that they can bite, and but yeah, for me, it's gonna be a final before the final. Just two of the top teams in the world. But yeah, Russia against Canada, no, no surprise there. I watched the game, and well, there are some things, which I saw in Russia where I thought, okay, if they keep doing that, that's going to be a problem against a team that, can handle that. And we'll see how they play against Brazil. Russia Brazil is like this classical game which you just can't get enough of. They've played so many finals against each other, so many really big games against each other, and they know each other. But the last game obviously went for Russia. Mikhailov is this legend that I don't know. He's gonna play 20 more years, I guess, on the same level. Amazing, but he's just leading by example. The Russian machine just keeps scoring and just keeps giving him, the opportunities to be great. The general, this is the classical thing about Russia, the serve and block. This is like Russia 20, 30 years, strong serve and big block, and everything else is just somewhere there.
Yeah.
But they just showed it again. Big guns from serve and a really, really big block. They're just, I think in average, they're the tallest team in the tournament. And they're just not just strong serves, they're really smart serves. The Blair band has been giving him, mostly when he was in position one, he has been giving them a bit of the seam in one, or just the sideline in position one. And Mikhailov goes there, aces him. So he thinks about it. I'm not gonna give him that position anymore. He goes there, goes in the seam between 1-6. So that's just really good serves, and they show that they can be also not just powerful, but pretty much go wherever they want. And this is really dangerous if it works every time. I think the weak link there is a bit Golubev. It's not the best libero in the world, and I saw some simple, easy situations where you should deliver the ball directly to the setter, but that wasn't the case. Not a bad receiver, certainly a okay defender. But the libero doesn't get to decide a lot how the game is going. But yeah, the fantastic outside duo, probably the best duo in the world, Kluka and Volkov. They weren't amazing. I mean, Volkov was pretty good, but Kluka, he just makes those occasional mistakes in system, which are really interesting, because I feel like Kluka in 5 years is going to be the best attacker in the world without any questioning, because the amount of skill he has is just ridiculous for a guy who is 2 meters 6. He can just do everything with the ball. He can tip, he can wipe, he can roll shot, he can drive shot, he can do whatever he wants. It's just, I think those are too many decisions for him right now, and that's why probably he's still making some mistakes. And in crunch time, we saw when Canada was coming in the second set, they started making some easy mistakes, like a line error or hitting something in the block. So a bit sloppy, in those longer rallies. Yeah, well, that's pretty much Russia. Sloppy, but really strong.
Okay, thanks for that. I believe that we're pretty much comprehensive with our analysis, your analysis, mostly in for the matches. But Let's mention that tomorrow are the quarterfinals in the women's tournament, starting with Korea against Turkey, Dominican Republic against the USA. Let's say that these are the two matches with clear favorites, Turkey and USA. Serbia will play Italy probably in the most curious match of the day, replay of World Championship Final 2018, and another clash between Brazil and Russia, the last match of the day, where it will be absolutely interesting, at least for me. And this is going to be another great day of volleyball in Tokyo 2020. Of course, I would like to thank you again for co-hosting this episode of Volleyball Explained Olympics Special, and I hope that you're going to have a lot of success with the German talents. And why not see them, if not in Paris, in Los Angeles?
Thank you. Well, probably Paris is a bit too early, but yeah. Hopefully we'll get to see some guys in Los Angeles in a couple of more years. Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure. What you're doing is really, educational and helping a lot of people, and I think it's really interesting.
Thank you. Thanks to the spectators for watching this. Put in the comments your ideas, your opinions, your shares about what is happening in Tokyo. I was surprised by France and Argentina. Will Vital Heynen keep his place as a head coach of the Polish national team, etc., etc.? Thank you, and of course, see you very soon again. Bye bye.
Bye bye.